Okay, I'm looking into the laundromat. Any info about this type of investment? So, John, I would say with that, any business, it's the same concept of income versus expenses, and are you making money at the end of the month? The one thing I would tell you though, John, is that um, businesses usually have multiples. Uh, you know, surrounding the type of businesses. So a restaurant might have a multiple of 10. A laundromat might have a multiple of 15. What that means is, it's against the income, right? So 15 times income or 10 times income. At the end of the day, Jean, it's really about when it comes down to it's really about financing the project and how much you'll make in cash flow, right? The return on investment. That's really what it comes down to. So I tell you that um, you could use the buy and hold, the sheet that we use. You could use that sheet to do that to make that work. So it's something that if you want to review with the group, I'm happy to do it. Okay. So when you get numbers on it, or if you want to do it tonight, even like I said, I'm open to talking about that. Really, to me, it's all about income, right? How much you're making on the property. Okay, good. All right. So there is a property, just so you know, because a couple of you are from the Montreal, or Ottawa region area. There is a property tonight we're looking at that's in your area from someone in Toronto. They're looking at a property. So if you're interested in the property, we're going to revisit it next week, and we'll let you know. And it might be something that the person is open to wholesaling or getting an investor on. Okay, so I know John, you're in that area, and Frank, you're in Ottawa, so that's good, and Jacob in Montreal. So this might be an opportunity for you guys to get involved on this property. Okay. Good. All right. So what I'll do is I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So everybody see that? Okay. So let's do this one first. Okay. So this property, the asking price is 164 9. Repairs on this were actually estimated at 15,000 for repairs. The asking we had is what we think we can get it under a contract for is 135. Is that right, Rodrigo? Those are all right now, yes? Right, Rodrigo? This is all right now. So when we look at expenses, taxes and insurance were actually in there. So that's what we're looking at. There were some other bills that were listed, but this is something that the renter would pay. This is a single family house. It's got one unit. It would be assumed that it would be rented out by a single family. Okay, and you can see that the rent on there is 1350. That's the actual rent they were getting before any repairs, 1350. So possibly can get a higher rent on it. We're not sure yet. We're going to use the 1350 as the rent, even though with the rehabs it was estimated that they could get between 1550 and 1650, 15 to 1650 in rent. But let's just stay with 1350. So we're erring on the side of less money than more money. Now, typically a single family home, I would tell you to lean towards a rent to own. But when I was shown this property, I mean, the numbers are so good on it. This is a really good property. Um, the vacancy rate at 20, we haven't changed that. Exact expense because it's taxes and insurance, unless there's other expenses. We're going to get an income and expense statement for next week on the call. We'll share this again and see where we're at. But you can see the gross rent multiplier is 9.26 and the cap rate 7. So this is a good property. I mean, this has a lot of flexibility and a lot of opportunity. So first we'll always start with is the conventional, right? 20%. So if we put up 20% on this and we get a regular mortgage on it, put up 27,000 plus the 15, right? You got to remember the 15 is not included there, but 27,000 for the mortgage part of it. You're going to cash flow $422 at the end of the month, and you're going to make an 18.8% return, which is outstanding. This is a really good because you can see that the property is almost 1% in income versus purchase price. You can see that, right? Very close. So 15 plus the 135 is 150. Here would be 1%, right? 1% per month in rent. After we put the repairs in, it'll push us to 150. But there's still quite a bit of money relative to the price of this property. So this is very attractive, this price, because let me give you some examples. Let's say we decide to get an investor, okay, and we put up 10%. So 13,500. I mean, we could get that from a line of credit, a credit card. That's not a ton of money. An investor coming in, look how much we can pay this investor. Over 30 years, we pay him up to, I think it was 17. Not quite. Let's see here. 15. No, I can go higher. 16. Wait a minute. Maybe it was 17. Gave me 21, 20. Holy smokes. 26. Wow. 27, even 28% looks like you can give somebody. That's how much money's in this deal, and still get 100 a month, over 100 a month, and over 10% return. That's how much money's in this property, potentially. So you could pay an investor easily 15% and still make decent money on this property, which is outstanding. So let's look at some worst case scenarios. So we looked at some. Let's look at another one. Let's say the vacancy is 10% a year instead of higher vacancy rate because it's a single family home. Even with the higher vacancy rate at 10, pushing this to 25, the investor would still be able to be paid above 15%, and you're still making 16%, 17%, and $188 a month. This is really good. Let's say that so let's keep the vacancy there. Let's strain this property and see how far we can go. So vacancy is 10. Vacancy is 10, which is usually 5. Let's say that the repairs are 30,000. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to include that in the financing part of it. So let's say that the purchase price is going to be 165. Okay, so let's make that 0. Let's make this 165, which is basically the actual price. Okay, so that includes the repairs. Okay, and we financed all of it even. We borrowed all the money for the financing. Okay, now you can see that at this point, right? It's not there yet, right? But this is us paying 30 years, 16.5 at 15. Let's go to 10. Okay, wouldn't be able to do it at 10. Maybe 9. So 8% looks like the spot. So 8% return. I would even say 7.5. So we're over the 10. Yeah. So 7.5% we could pay an investor and still be able to make $139 and 10% return. So this is still rock solid, even if we doubled the actual repairs. Now, if we went back to the 0 and 20, right? The cash flow would go up absolutely because we wouldn't have that extra financing. We'd have to put up more money. We'd have to put more money up, and the cash flow, cash on cash return would be 9.2, which is a little bit lower than what we want. But even then, this property still makes money. That's that's us including the repair part of it. The other thing is after repairs, we would do an appraisal on it and see if it's possible to get somebody to refinance it at a higher price than purchase. Hopefully getting out that rehab money out of the property with the refi. So we can't say for sure what the after repair value is. That's something, Rodrigo, you can add to your list, right? You can add to your list of things to do. Find out, if you can, Rodrigo, the after repair value of the property. Okay, so he's going to get that information to me this week. We're going to re-present this property along with Devin's property, and I'll tell you a little bit more information of how you can get involved. If it's something you want to do, or you want to, they're even open to wholesaling this property. This is a good property. If these numbers are real, it's an excellent property. Okay, so if we go back to the 135, which is the estimated that property can get under contract. Okay, we had 15,000 for repairs. Okay, so this is a good example. So look, if we fix it, we're all in for 150. The mortgage is 108. We put up 27. What will this property be worth after we fix it up? So I would assume, this property is going to be worth higher than 164. We might actually be able to refinance it and get the whole 15,000 or 20,000 or whatever we put in the property after the refinance. So this is where somebody, a cash buyer, would be good. If you had somebody access that cash or an investor, because then you could buy cash, fix it up, refinance it, and there'd be no mortgage with the property. So lots of opportunity there. The other one is, let's go back to that. So if I get somebody to put up 20%, the whole amount, so instead of 10 and 10, no money in the game, except the repairs, 15,000. If we put 20, if we get a seller or an investor to put up 20%, and we could pay, looks like 168, so I could probably take that to 12 maybe. No, too high, because we're going to shoot for $100. Okay, so there, $100, we're going to make 11. We could offer someone 11% to bring up the money. We could also offer an investor to put up the money for us. So instead of them taking interest, we would just split the profits with them. Okay, so if we look down here, and we see that the investor would put 27,000. The cash flow they'd make is this is 24 months. So let's say if it's 2 years and they're putting it, we can make these all sixes, depending on the area you are, but 6 is kind of the average, right? So if it's 24 months, they would make looks like 171% return. They stayed 5 years, and we actually got 6 out of it every year, which is 5.56 is it's not crazy, but we don't count on appreciation. But this is trying to give the investor all the opportunity that's possible here. So if I went 60 months, they would get 189% return on their money. So the total income they'd make is 51,000 from their investment of 27,000. Okay, 27,000, which is pretty good when you think about it. And the way that comes up, if you haven't looked at this in a while or this is new to you, total income, it's looking at 2,000, splitting the capital gains, right? If they sell the property in 5 years, so they get half of that. Plus they get 139, which is half of this. 139 per month for 60 months. That's another $8,000. So that's where the money amount comes in. Does that make sense to everybody? So this only counts the increase to the property, only the increase part. Okay, so this is how this works, or this area works in reference to someone splitting the money with us. So they're giving us the 20%, but they're a partner, right? So 0% interest. They're not charging us any interest. They're just taking half of the money from the property. Okay. So because the property income to purchase price is so good, there's huge opportunity. As long as these numbers are real, there's huge opportunity to profit in this property and to share the profit while you're doing it. So this is a very attractive property. Any questions on this from anybody? We good? Okay, that was easy. All right. Oh wait. Okay, good. All right. So I just want to double check. Did everybody get the most updated sheet? I know some of you. It's the 96, or sorry, 98. 98 is the one we're using now. 98. Everybody got it? Anybody not got this? Everyone's got this. Should have this. If you don't, I don't think so. Okay, so I think you got it, Devin. But if you don't, you know what, folks? I'll put it up again. I'll put it up again for everybody. Okay. So here, let's do that right now. Okay, give me 1 second. So a couple things. I do. There's the YouTube link again. For those of you in the Toronto, the new group, the meetings will be up for the last couple weeks. Will be up tomorrow. I'm uploading them tonight. So if anybody doesn't have the YouTube link, just hit that and subscribe so you'll know when the video's up. And what I'll do is give you, that's wrong, we're not going to use that one. So don't use that one. Okay. So actually, cancel that. Okay. So we're going to upload, 1 second. Let's do this one. Okay. Should be good with this one here. So anybody doesn't have this, you can grab it now in the 98. Made some minor changes to it. One of the things is the expenses. If yours doesn't already do this, if you put if you have like actual expenses, it'll read this number, the 2441. So if you look over here, it's 2441. But if I change this to, say I don't know, so 20%, 20% is the estimation, and I take away these clear contents here. We look and we see that I took the 20% instead. Okay, just a little thing there. So if I put 0 here, it says 0 here. If I start putting in numbers, right? So 10,000 or 12,000. Now it's going to take that number. Okay. Everybody got that? That's just a minor change that we did. So you put either or the 20% or the other amount. Okay. So if you put in a number, it's going to automatically grab that number. No screen. Oh. Okay, is everybody good? Sorry about that. I've been talking to myself here. Is that good with everybody? Then you're good? You clear on that? Sorry, you got the link and the download? Everybody got the download? Okay, good. All right, so let's go back to sharing my screen. So let's go back to sharing my screen. You can see that? Okay, so what I was sharing with you is in this scenario here, when we're looking at expenses. So if you don't know the expenses, you can throw a number in here. Now, if it's a multi-unit, I would use 25. If it's a single unit, I'd use 20. And the reason is because once you get into the multi-unit, there's some utilities that you typically have to pay, or often is paid by you. But if they're paying all the utilities, really, it's just these things that you're paying for, and any minor, minor stuff that's not accounted for. But taxes and insurance are really what it is. So 20% is healthy. Now, if I put 20% in here, go over here, you'll see that it supersedes any numbers that you have in here. Okay, so it doesn't count the 12. It's just counting the 20%. See that? But if I have actual expenses, this should read 0. Okay, so if it reads 0, then it's going to read the 12,000 instead. Does everybody see that? So if you have the actual expenses, put them in. Okay, but if you don't know, it's going to take this, estimated expense, right? Okay, is that good with everybody? Everybody clear on that one? Makes sense, yes? Okay, good. So we're going to look at a second property right now. Okay, so this property is Devin's property. So Devin, what do we got here again? This is another really good property. Really good property. Now this is, so Devin, what was the purchase price on this one? Just doing it. Let's see if I can see that again. So it was, what was it? 415. Okay, so it was 450, right? 450 was the price, and 415 is what you think you can get it for, right? All right, good. So check this property out. Now the property rents out a top portion, no, a bottom portion, right, Devin? It's a single-family home that has basically rents out the bottom, and the owners live in half the property, right? The top half, right? Or the bottom half. How does it work? They live on one side, right? Up or down? Top renting out currently $1,800, and you believe the bottom. You've been told by the realtor the bottom will rent out for $2,200, correct? Okay, so with this one, you can see. Give me a second to confirm. So we're looking at $4,000 for the monthly rent. Yep, basement and main floor $2,200. Wait a minute. You mean additional 22, right? Right, Devin? or total 2,200. So the one unit, it rents out for 18 right now. So if we add the bottom, that's 4,000 a month, correct, Evan? Okay, just checking. Okay, I got a little nervous there because that would mean the bottom floor was being rented out for 600. Okay, so 4,000, $4,000 per month. We don't have exact expenses, so we're going to use 20 because it's a single family house that's being rented the top and the bottom, so taxes and insurance should be the only expenses. If we are paying the expenses, and Devin's going to find that out this week, if we are paying the expenses, then we're probably closer to this number, okay? So let's assume that the tenants are paying their own utilities because it's a single family, so 20%, okay? So 2,200, and he's going to find out for sure. So 4,000 is the income. Vacancy maintenance, property management, we're going to change to 5 and 5, okay? So that's going to be 2020. So 28,000 is what we're bringing in. Again, this is a really good property. We look and we see that the gross rent multiplier is 8.65, which is pretty solid. It's not a 6. Cap rate 6.9. It's not a 10, but we can still work with it. And if we look at that, we see that the property, even with regular financing, 80/20 will produce a 14% return and $1,000 per month in cash flow per. This should be 2 units, so it's 501 per unit. Okay, 501 per unit is what we're going to make on the property. Okay, so this property, again, outstanding numbers. If these numbers are real, this would be, this is another excellent property. So let's any questions about this? I'm going to try to strain it, see, let's try to make this a little more tougher to work. So if we put up the money, 83,000, and we have the bank finance the rest, and we're doing it ourselves, we'll make 14%, just over 14.5 and 500 per unit. If I do 10 and 10, and 10, and we pay the investor, let's see what we can pay the investor. 10, can we pay 10? Yep, we can pay 10, 15, wow, 17, 18%, oh my gosh, 20 maybe, so I'd say 19 to be safe. Yeah, so 19% you could pay to maintain things. So that's the maximum for an investor. So we probably wouldn't do that. We'd be more in the 15 to 10 range. So 15 would be outstanding for someone secured with real estate, second position mortgage. They'd still make, they would still make 15% a year over year on their property, which is their investment, which is pretty amazing. Of course, if the investor wanted to be the whole thing, right? And what we do is we'd say to the investor, and this could be a VTB. Devin's already asked for a VTB, so they said no to the VTB, so that's okay. We'll have to work with what we got. I cannot confirm if I can get 22 for the main with the basement. That's what the realtor told me. I'm personally thinking thing is 2,000 for the main and basement. Oh, that sounds more realistic, to tell you the truth. Even that still is good. Oh, sorry, that's not as good, and actually it would create a problem because it's only half now, where it was closer to 1%. It's about 0.5%. So yeah, for sure. So if we went back to 0 and 20, and I remember we talked about this. I thought the rent was kind of high for I was asking you about the area. So if we put up 20%, see, this property doesn't work. If it's 2,000 for the whole thing, I don't think that's right though, Devin. If you told me that, yeah, you told me they're getting 1,800. You confirmed that, right? 1,800 for the once, just half the building, right? Right? That would be some big confusion. Obviously, at 2,000 doesn't work. So if we made 30, why don't we do this? Why don't we go 3,600? That's 18 for the top and 18 for the bottom. Really, at the end of the day, it has to be confirmed. And you're doing that this week, right? But I'll tell you, at 2,000, it's not going to work. 3,000, let's see, I don't think it works at 3 either. I think you need a minimum of 3,500. Yeah, 3,500 would be the minimum. 3,500 would be the minimum for this, Devin, to make it work for you. Okay, 3,500 total. So you can see, folks, that when you're, and that gives us a 6 cap rate with a 20 and 20. If there's expenses that are on top of this, so let's say this is 25. So if this is 25, you can see that we're going to have some challenges here, right? So cap rate wise, I would tell you, like as a minimum cap rate, you're going to want a cap rate of 6, a minimum of 6, and then there's things you can do. If you don't have a cap rate of 6, it's below 6, you can still make it work, but there's got to be some low cost lending when it comes to additional investing. Okay? Because as soon as we get below the 6 mark for cap rate, it becomes really challenging. Even though we're shooting for a 10, I told you we don't have to get a 10. We can make it work with less, really, with less of a cap rate. The gross rent multiplier you can see is under 10, which is better. 10's kind of a limit. 6 was where I'd say is a good idea to be, around 6 for your cap rate as a minimum. Once you get into lower cap rates, so to give you an example, if we drop this to 3,000, that's going to affect the cap rate, and obviously we increase the expenses by 5%. When the cap rate's 4.8, it's not going to work, because 4.8, we were just looking at a property on the earlier call tonight, where the cap rate was 4.1, I think the cap rate was, and we couldn't make the property work because there's not enough return for us to be able to take on financing. If we don't take on financing, then you're stuck with this return, 4.8. That's not worth it for real estate. 4.8 is not a good return. Now, I know we all want cash flow, and cash flow is a good thing, but you gotta ask yourself, what's it going to cost me for that cash flow? And that's a lot to be, for that cash flow, 4.8%. It's a 5% return. For me, I would say no. You can do better than that. You need double-digit returns to make property worth investing in. So if we can start with the 6% as a kind of a bottom, for cap rates when you're looking at property, I think that would be a good idea. I noticed, Diana, you're on the call, right? Good. Diana, you're a realtor, yes? Is that right? I want to say you're a realtor. I don't know why. Am I right? Because I know I had. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm sorry. So Diana, you had a property actually. We were looking at, right? Can you send me something you wanted to discuss? Yes. I remember. Yeah, you wanted to do a flip. Okay, good. All right. So let me address that in a second. The last call, I don't think they're on this call. They'll be on next week. One's a realtor, one's a mortgage broker in the GTA area. Okay. So when they come on next week, because they'll be on the next week, anybody who wants their contact, definitely I'll share it with them. Okay. I think it's a good idea to network amongst ourselves and use those resources. Okay. Any questions about this property? Because really, this property is an excellent property. If we can get those rents where they're supposed to be. So Devin, you're going to get an income expense. We already talked this, right? Income and expense statement from the property, right? And Devin, if you can find out about the rents, like confirm the rents, and part of it will be the income and expense because it'll show the $1,800 coming in. And Devin, actually ask if there's a lease, an active lease with the tenants in the house. There's an active lease that's still, or is it month to month? Ask if it's month to month and how long they've been there. Okay. Don't ask for rent rolls right yet. We don't need rent rolls at this point. We're just trying to collect information. If you come back with those numbers, Devin, then I think we're going to put an offer on it. Okay. I think it's a good idea to get it under contract. Okay. So because the numbers look really good on this. And then we can share with the group next week and let them know, see if anybody wants to, if they're interested in it. Okay, so any questions about this property? Let me see. No, we're good? Okay, all right, good. All right, so this property, you were looking at, Diana, did you send me the numbers on this one? Oh, here it is. Let me see here. Is this the one in Hamilton? Is that right? Oh, oh, you know what? I don't know why it is. I'm mixing that up. No. You didn't send me the flip one? Okay, if you got numbers on it, we could do it tonight. I'm sorry. I'm looking at your email with the investor, right? You were meeting with an investor, yes? This weekend we will see some houses. Okay. Diana, did you end up, I remember the email, it wasn't too long ago. You were asking questions about investors, and you just went and saw an investor. How'd that meeting go? Did you get a chance to sit with them? Okay. Hold up. Okay, we did, but he wants to see houses. This weekend we'll see some houses. Okay. So you know what, Diana, tell him or her that you're part of an investing group, right? And that there's other properties. If he's open to other parts, if he's open to Canada, we have some properties that might be coming down towards you, Diana, that he might be interested in. That way, next week when we show those properties, again, with more information to validate it, if we get them under contract, those might be wholesale opportunities for you and your investor. Does that make sense? So your investor might be interested if the properties make sense and the numbers make sense, and he's okay with the location. That might be an opportunity you could share with him, that you could gain as a property, a wholesale property. Not you wholesaling it, one of the guys that have the property wholesaling it to you, and you could do the property maybe with your investor. The one is a rehab, actually. There's a rehab that needs to be done. So if it's something that you're interested in, that might be something you want to mention to him this week. Okay, just an idea. Okay, no worries. Yeah, we'll do that. So tell him that you're part of investing. Everybody could do that, by the way. You can say you're part of an investment group, and there's properties that come in and out all the time when you're talking to investors. So what I'm going to do, Diana, is I'm not going to. So I have two right now from two different students that are looking at two properties, and we're going to re-present them next week. And both of them, once the numbers come in, we'll know what they're worth. And they're both, I think, both are open to wholesaling the property. So anybody that's interested in these properties, you're more than welcome next week after we get some verification to bid on these, properties. And I'm probably looking at wholesale fees. I'm guessing, of course, until we get the actual numbers, but anywhere from, $5,000. Depends on the property. It could be 2,500. Could be a little more than 5. I don't know. So I'll share with the group next week. Okay, I'll share with you. Yeah. And on our Wednesday meeting. Yeah, Wednesday at 9 o'clock is the meeting now, permanent. Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Okay, for everybody. Okay, because that gives everybody across the country a chance where it's not too early and not too late. Okay. All right. So, any questions about this property? Are we good? Okay. So this is another property we're going to verify. We're going to verify, and then we'll re-present it next week. Okay. Oh, you want to send me? You got anything on that flip property, Diana? That you want to review? Okay. You want to send it to me? We can review it right now. Okay, I'm assuming that Diana, you're sending it, or do you want to share the numbers? You can share the numbers right here. It doesn't really matter. That's totally up to you. But if you send it to me, I can review it that way. Okay, that's there. So as a rule, folks, I would say let's oh, that's nice. There you go. Good. Okay, good. All right. Does this have an address on it? I hope not. Not that it's a big deal, but I think it's better, until you get it under contract. I think we want to, because this gets, I would rather not put the address. There's no address there, it doesn't look like. Yes, it has an address on it. Okay, so the link is going to open up to everybody. You know that, right? And so, do you have the property under contract? So, as a rule, it's okay. We decide not to buy. Okay, all right, okay. Well, you want it? We can still analyze it if you want. Okay, and we can figure out if that was, or you can share with us why you decided, but it was okay. So let's put this property back over here. So as a rule, folks, we want to avoid putting the property. Okay, so here's the property. Okay, so purchase price is $450. Property address really doesn't matter. You're okay with that? How was the property found? Wholesaler is also on MLS at a higher price. Okay, so someone got it under contract, correct? Okay, so check this out, folks. So a wholesaler got negotiated this price down from $458 to $450. Wow. All right. First single family house with a basement. Walkout 5 minutes from McMaster University. That's good. Converted to 2-unit house is a recommended. Okay, so right now it's just a 1-unit. Renovated single family house. Property on probably MLS there, I assume. Link to the pictures. Okay. Let's look at numbers. So lawyer disbursements 9,000. Duration of weeks, 8 weeks. You figure 8 weeks. And total cost of renovations 100 grand. Is that right? Total months in possession 5. Utilities. Okay, utilities 400. House, property, monthly expenses. So the carrying cost would be another 4,600. 4,600. What are you including in the 4,600? The monthly expense is 4,600. So what are you including? Because it's not all. It's more than this, right? This is 400 insurance. Oh, you mean the total cost for 5 months? Is that what that means? I think that's what you mean. So that'd be 4, 8. Yeah. That's the total. So that's not the monthly carrying. That's the whole carrying cost over the 5-month period from start to finish, right? Because 8 weeks to rehab, then list it, and then sell it. I get you. ARV is 563. Lawyer to close 2. Expected close sale price 650. Is 650. So 650 is the ARV after repair value. I see what you did. You took the ARV as the purchase price plus repairs, correct? and then the actual expected sale price is 650. Is that right? Is that what you mean by that? Because 650, so technically 650. If you're selling, if you believe you can sell for 650, then the ARV, yeah, the ARV is 650 actually. The ARV wouldn't be 563, it'd be 653. This number would represent all in, like an all in number. That would be purchase price of 450 plus the 9,000 plus the carrying costs. I think that's what you put in there, right? That's how you got 563 is all these numbers, right? Added in to the property. So this would be all in price, your all in price. This would be your ARV. Expected sale price in ARV is 650. So salesperson cost 5% is the mortgage. Sorry, is the realtor. Profits 51,000. Okay. So down payment 90,000, loan amount 360, terms of loan 3-year, annualized interest rate 7. Is there a reason they use 7 for your interest rate? Just curious. Is this someone else who's putting up the money? Oh, someone else putting up the money for this, for the 7% annualized interest rate? Do you mean all of it combined, or the down payment, or the loan amount? The loan amount would be closer to, probably, if it was through a bank, that wouldn't go higher than 4. I mean, 3 would be probably, 3 would be, this is, okay. So anyways, 7, yeah, 7 seems a little bit on the high end. Monthly payment 2,300. Number of payments, rate period, total payment, total interest. If you went to 30 years, it was if we couldn't get it from a bank. Okay, good. I like that. That's good. 7% for total financing, right? I like that. That's fair. I think you only use the 7% on the 360, but 7% as a whole number I think is fair. That's just the amortization table. Okay, so let me ask you something. You were looking at making 51,900. What turned you off of this property? I mean, $450,000 property making 50 grand. Looks like you factor in most of, you know, and it looks like you're leaning on the safer side with numbers. If you could get the 650 for it, looks like a good. Investor wasn't really wasn't. It was if we couldn't get it from. Okay, so investor wasn't really interested. Already wasn't really ready. I see. I see. Huh. Okay. All right. Okay. I get that. I'd be interested to see at 450 plus the money you're putting in, 550. I'm wondering, because it's by the university, how much you could get in rent for the 2 units. If that renovation was converting it into 2 units, right? The 100K. I was converting it into 2 spaces, right? Okay. So if it was 2 spaces, I'm wondering, you know, what kind of income this thing would produce, being at its location, what the market rents were. Because if you could get, let's say, so let's say that it's 650 is what you thought you get. If the market rents were, to give you an idea, folks, so I've talked about this before. So I'll use this sheet here. So if a property, cash flow. So let's just to give you an example. Don't worry about this right here for a second. This was an analysis of, should I keep it or should I sell it, wholesale or flip it, depending on how many years it would take for me to get my property. Okay, so I don't want you to worry about that right now. Let's look at this. So if the property was producing cash flow, so cash flow, write it. Cash flow, say, is $500. No, let's on those properties. I don't know. Maybe it's 2 units. It's by McMaster. I don't know. What do you guys want to use? 1,500 a unit. How much do you guys think? Some of you are in that area. Well, around there. What would be half a house in Ottawa by McMaster? Anybody want to guess? This is to the group. Anyone want to guess what the rents would be in that area? Or did you know, Diana, what the rents were? What the estimated rents were going to be in that area? Yeah, Frank, you're from Ottawa. What do you think? So cash flow units max would be 15, you mean? Would be the max? Okay, so would 13 be more realistic, or 1,100? What do we think would be more realistic? 1,100? Okay, so 2 units. Let's go 1,200. Just somewhere in the middle. Okay, 2 units. So this equals this times 2. This is the units, and this would be total monthly. Okay. Then we would take this for the yearly, second-hand yearly, and equals this equals this times 12, 20,000, and equals cap rate. The cap rate would probably be around 4 there in that area. So value could be equals this. Oops. Times. I know what it is, but this would be 100. Oops. Would be not this, but 100 divided by this. Okay, so what this does is the cash flow. Let's say the cash flow of this property was $1,200 net operating income. Okay, so net operating income actually would be closer to 600. Okay, so if the net operating income in this property was $600 per unit, okay, so let's say half goes to expenses, right? Well, it'd be taxes, it'd be 20, 40, it'd be 60%. So let's go 60% here. This will make sense in a second. Equals 1,200. Oops. So we'll go like this. We'll go. This is the red, and we're going to get to collect 60% of that. So equals this times 60%. Okay. Okay. So let's say 720 per unit we get to keep, because if it's that kind of property and there's no expenses, 40% should cover the taxes, maintenance, insurance, vacancy, all the costs associated, as long as we're not paying utilities. So there's 2 units. The monthly would be $1,440. The yearly would be $17,280. Now the cap rate in that area, I would guess, is around 3%, 4% probably in that area. So the value would be $432,000. Would be the value of that. Okay, would be the value of that. So what this represents is the acceptable cap rate, or the normal cap rate in that area. Does everybody understand what I'm saying when I'm saying this right now? You see how I got that value? So in metropolitan areas, cap rates are 3%, or 3. So a property like this, producing this income, $1,200 per unit, would go for $576,000 as an estimate. Okay. In that area in Ottawa, I would guess it's around 3.5 or 4. So 432,000 would be the estimate on that. So I would say that the property, unless the cap rates are lower in that area, we went 3. Even at 3, yeah, maybe it could be 3 because it's by a university, even if it's Ottawa. 576,000, I would say, is the max value you could get from that property. So that's if you rented both out. This is an investment or income property. Does anybody have questions about what I just did here? I would if I were you, but maybe some of you understand. Some of you have seen me do this. This is just This is just making a value based on the current cap rates. Does this make sense to everybody? I'll ask Diana. Does that make sense to you? Oh, oh right, I said Ottawa. Well, any by university? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I had Ottawa on my brain. Um, any any uh any property that's close to university is gonna probably have a lower cap rate, acceptable cap rate. So 3 or 4 would probably be normal. Um, so if the cap rate is 3, so this is assuming that both units on average will get to $1,200. So that's the monthly rent. Then you're going to get to keep 60% of that when we take expenses away. So the net operating income is 720, and this is before financing. So forget about financing for a second. Cash flow is 720 per unit. There's 2 units. That's 1440 a month. The yearly is 17,280. So if the acceptable cap rate in that area is 3, then the value would be somewhere in this range of 576,000. Does that make sense to everybody? So we look for properties with a minimum of 6. Look what happens to the value. Everybody see that? What happens to the value? If we could get a 10 cap rate, obviously that would look at that, 172,000. You see that? So the closer you get to a city, the core of a city or university high demand area, the lower this number goes. So the same property, say in a Winnipeg, might be like this. That same property, producing the same amount of money, which would be valued at 288,000. Does that make sense to everybody? Where and this is, you know, on the outskirts. If this was a property in, say, London, where I'm from, you might see this kind of number, 4.5. No, that's about right. I'd say 4.5. 4.5. Yeah, about there. About there. Maybe a little bit lower, closer to that. Yeah, probably there. For income, yeah. If you're in the Toronto area, like core or Vancouver, you might be actually like more like somewhere in the range of this to this. If it's a good one, you can see that you know, this like a 2 cap rate is an $864,000 property would produce you $2,400 in gross rent a month. So it'd probably be 3. So to give you an example of what this looks like, if it was a single family home, and you guys know this from your own areas, and let's see, 3,000. So, but you know, $720,000 house is going to get you $3,000 in rent. You're going to get to keep $1,800 if you pay cash, and that would be a cap rate of 3. Does that make sense to everybody? That same house in a Winnipeg or just the middle provinces, which are better value, would probably be somewhere like this or this. You know, it's considerably easier. If this was out east, it would be like that. Or just so you know, that's messed up when you see it that way. That would be the value there. Okay. Of that same house, exact same house, because it's income that's really determining value, right? It's income determining value as an investor, right? So if the cap rate in a particular area is 7, southeast, it's 7, or even, and I've seen 10. I've seen this. A property produced $3,000 a month, and it was valued at $216,000. That's not crazy out east. Obviously, they have a higher taxes. Vacancy in some areas are higher, so your maintenance is going to be higher, things like that. But this is it's good to understand, and your realtors can tell you that, or the good ones can tell you that, that really understand cap rate, which a lot of them do. You can just ask them for the cap rate in the area, or you can just look at the income versus purchase price for properties in the area. So if a property is renting, you can get the value of the property plus against the income, and you can figure out the normal cap rate for that area. The reason that's important is if you know you have a property that's got it's a distressed property or property that, you know, where you're doing those repairs like you were, Diana, you can figure out what's realistic for a purchase price against the income, right? So if the cap rates are in the area of where you're looking at, in that area, Hamilton, you're looking at, maybe you're looking at a 3% cap rate, and it was 1,200. If you could get 1,200 a unit, the cap rate was 2 units, and the cap rate was 3. That would be kind of the range I would be looking at. What's realistic? You could do the reverse calculation to find out market rents by doing the reverse cap rate versus to rent. So if the property is listed at 650,000, then I would bump this rent up until I found that price. So it's not that, that's for sure. So there, that's about what your property's saying. So if your property can get $1,400 per unit, and you get to keep 840, so 672, which is kind of in the range you were talking about, that would be the assumption that I could get for the market rents based on that cap rate and that value of the purchase price. Okay. Any questions, anybody, about what I just went through? Apologies if it was fast. Just the idea of understanding, those values and how they're different in a particular area. So I think that what we'll do for next week, reminding everybody 9 o'clock. What we'll do for next week is we're going to revisit those properties. There's going to be a couple of new students that are coming in next week with us, and we'll reevaluate those properties. Anybody who wants a property, obviously reevaluate. Let me know. And a reminder to those, especially those people in Toronto, those videos will be up tomorrow. Okay, we're wrapping up the meeting. Any questions before we go? Okay, if you're good, type in yes or Y. Yes or Y if you're good. All right. Do you have a question? Go ahead, Jacob. My pleasure. Jacob's got a question. So let's what's your question, Jacob? Jacob, you had a question? Jake, you there, buddy? Oh, is it recommended to purchase a property while the market is down? So good question, Jacob. It really doesn't matter. Market's down, market's up. Who cares? It's about profit. So I would let the numbers tell you the truth, Jacob. Always let the numbers tell you, right? If it's a good value or not. Because if the market's up, it doesn't mean you can't make money. It just means I got to apply the right strategy to it. So hot market might be where I'm going to see lease options as a better option than lease options and flips in a hot market are more likely going to be profitable for me than in a down market. But in a down market, I could find buy, rent, and hold properties, right? Duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, because the market is down and the quality of renters is going up. There's more renters in the area, probably more opportunity. Does that make sense? It depends. It depends. So the market depends, right? So if you're looking at say, so Toronto was up, Vancouver's a little bit down, Hamilton's up, I believe Guelph is up, Niagara, Golden Horseshoe there area, a couple markets are kind of flat or slightly up. So I would say the overall market in Canada, we're probably going to see a rise in real estate prices because of the new programs that the government's implementing. We talked about this. The 30-year mortgage is now going to be insured by CMHC, and also the 10% kickback for new home buyers, first-time home buyers, is going to be up to 10% interest-free loan from the government for new builds. Existing property, I think you're probably closer to 5%. So those two programs are going to create more money in the market, which typically we're going to see prices overall in Canada rise. Now, how long it's going to rise, or how long this, are we adding to the bubble that's there? That'll remain to be seen, and on what kind of impact that'll be. So overall, I'd say the market in Canada is going to be rising. It was down, and now it's turning around with these new programs. I think we're going to see a rise. So area to area, that's more, we'd have to look at the particular area that you're talking about. But there are ways to find out if an area is on the rise or fall. At the end of the day, this is why we always look at the numbers, right? Always look at the numbers. Always let the numbers tell you the truth, okay? Does that answer your question? We're good? Yeah, no worries, no worries. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to assume everybody's good, yes? And I will see you all next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Glad y'all can make it, and happy hunting this week. If you have any properties you want me to review in the group, share with the group, for potential investors with one of the students, please let me know, and I'll share with the group, okay? My pleasure. Everybody have a great rest of the week, and I will see you all next week.